What up, yo faction? We have got another reaction for you today. This one is from
Tap Out Corner. So this one is the top 10 worst wrestling debuts. Their top 10 list. So we figured we'd do this a little bit differently. Kind of how we do Chiseled and Honest. We'll probably like pause it in between each one, give our short opinion on it, and move on to the next. So who knows? Maybe there's something on here that we disagree with.
Yeah, well, let's check it out.
Check it out.
Matt Sydal. At All Out 2020,
I have to agree with this one already.
Of Matt Sydal,
okay, I didn't see this one, so...
as Evan Bourne in WWE.
All right, just...
Sydal was supposed to enter
the
Casino Battle Royale match with a big impact, and well, he technically did.
I'll take every chance known to man and animal.
Oh, shit!
Oh, Sydal
Yes.
flipping off the top rope.
Matt Sydal ate shit on his first shooting Sydal press.
Okay. So this is Daly's place. This is obviously Daly's place.
Yeah.
You're in Florida.
Yeah. It could be humidity.
No, it
could
is
be
humidity.
sweet.
It is humidity. Because I remember this month very fucking vividly because I was stuck inside because of fucking COVID and my AC fucking went out. So yes, humidity was definitely a factor there, but that's the risk you take for doing the high risk stuff. I don't fault him on that one because he's hit that move so many times.
Flawlessly so many times. But this was his first showing in AEW.
Yeah, this was just a freak accident.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see this being on the top 10. But when I think of a terrible debut, I think of like just a terrible showing overall, not just one spot that defines it.
I can get behind that.
So
yeah. Oh, I get you.
okay, so all right.
I only include Sydal's debut because he was okay and bounced right back. Still, this did not help Matt Sydal start his AEW career on the right foot. With Matt Sydal, it was just an accident
Michael
and nobody's fault. Someone definitely effed up with his next debut, though.
Right there.
And that's
that Ultimate Dragon
number 9,
bullshit.
Imposter Kane.
Oh,
now, the whole Imposter Kane storyline is a pretty infamous one in WWE history, but I honestly liked it. For those who don't know, in 2006, Kane started hearing voices in his head that kept repeating the date, May 19th. On top of that, whenever Kane did hear that date, he'd go ballistic and attack anyone in sight. After weeks of this going on, we finally found out who was behind it all.
So bonus points if you can tell me who that is.
Yes, that is real. While it was awesome hearing the old Kane entrance music and
It's
seeing the
huge.
original costume, it was ruined by that goofy wig he wore.
Yeah,
No
the
shit.
hair
It
is
was a bad
crazy.
hair day in hell. Now, the wig
Doesn't help he
was
couldn't grow
fixed
the
for
hair.
later appearances, but like I said earlier, you only get one shot at making a first impression. It's not too surprising then that fans did not care when the two Kanes fought each other, and even less surprising that WWE got rid of the Imposter Kane almost as soon as he debuted. Give WWE credit though, at least they made the Imposter Kane look strong. When WCW debuted a monster, he still looked strong, but not in the right places. I'm talking about number 8,
Pause it.
the Yeti.
So
The Yeti was fucking
we'll get to the
hilarious.
Yeti in a second. Let's get through this Imposter Kane thing. I lived through that shit live. They did make him look fucking strong, like almost like Kane was a little fucking bitch baby compared to this Imposter Kane. But because it flopped so bad at the pay-per-view where they had that one-on-one match, the next night, Kane literally fucking obliterated him without even breaking a fucking sweat. Just to kill off the fucking story. But like I said, bonus points. Can you tell me who the fuck Imposter Kane was?
Going through my Rolodex of big motherfuckers.
I will give you one hint if you need it.
Okay.
What'd you have for breakfast?
Biscuits and gravy. It wasn't OC guy. It wasn't
It was Gallows.
really
It was
Gallows.
fucking Gallows. That was, if you think about it, that was right before that whole fucking Jesse and Festus gimmick took off, and they were just needing somebody to play a part. Yeah, that was fucking
Luke
Gallows.
That was so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
So
at least he got some work in.
Think about it. Kane did the imposter Diesel. And then Kane had an imposter guy of himself, and it became Luke Gallows. So somewhere down the line, we're going to have a fucking imposter Gallows.
Yes. It'll probably be shit.
Oh,
So funny.
All right, so this is more your area of expertise.
Dude, this was
I was not a part of this at all.
This was WCW back during the the Dungeon of Doom.
Late 80s, early 90s.
Late 80s, early 90s.
Okay.
Kevin Sullivan's group.
Uh-huh.
The Giant had just debuted recently.
Okay, so early 90s.
Early 90s. And this was the next monster. Now, it was supposed to be a 3-ring battle royal.
Okay, so this was the World War III pay-per-view?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they had been talking about this Yeti, and I was like, man, I can't wait to see this motherfucker. It's gonna be crazy.
Right.
And then my expectations, and then reality. So let's check this out.
Okay.
In 1995, WCW thought the future of wrestling was 80s cartoony characters. So, for the majority of the year,
British
Hulk
Beef
Hogan
It
was
was.
feuding with
What
the
the
Dungeon of Doom,
fuck?
a group featuring a ton of wacky characters. One of them was the Giant, aka The Big Show, who fought Hogan for the world title at
Fun
Halloween
fact, he is
Havoc.
the son of
To
Andre
ensure
the Giant.
would win the
At
title,
this time, he
the
was.
Dungeon of Doom revealed they had a, quote, insurance policy. The insurance policy ended up being...
The gobbledygooker's cousin.
Even though he was called the Yeti, he looked more like a mummy, but that's not what earns him a spot on this
Look at
list.
how
Hogan
shitty he
and the
moves.
Giants match ended in a disqualification, and the Dungeon of Doom was laying a beatdown on the Hulkster. To finish the job, the Yeti made his debut and joined the Giant in bear-hugging Hulk Hogan. However, it looked really, really awkward. I think we might have to censor this.
Woo!
Not only was the bear hug weird,
OnlyFans.
but the Yeti himself was... Oh, just look at him. He looks like a bad Halloween costume.
Okay, I gotta
WCW
look
realized
up
their
who played
mistake
him.
and immediately had the Yeti
1
change his
second.
costume. Now, he was a ninja. I'm kind of
ninja.
wondering if WCW knew what a Yeti was. Number 7, Eric Bischoff. Bischoff's on-screen personality...
So, I guess what I'm recalling was the pay-per-view after this debut.
Yeah, because it showed Halloween Havoc.
Right. So the next pay-per-view must have been World War III.
Okay, let me see here. Ron Reese. Best known for playing the Yeti. Other ring names included Big Bomb Jones, Big Ron Stud, the Super Giant, Ninja, and Vanilla Gorilla.
The Vanilla Gorilla.
I wasn't going to sell it, but okay.
The Vanilla Gorilla.
Yeah. He's really had nothing worth a damn. He starred in a straight to VHS movie. That tells you how long ago this was.
Sweet.
Assault on Death Mountain, also known as Shadow Warriors 2: Hunt of the Death Merchant.
What the fuck?
Maybe it was a Bollywood film. I don't know. It went straight to video. That's all I know.
Yeah, so look up, make sure that was the 3-ring thing.
For World War III. Well, his professional wrestling career is fucking short as shit, so.
Oh, yeah, go on.
Let's see, 1995. He debuted on WCW as the Yeti. This was Monday Night Nitro. Halloween Havoc 95. Halloween Havoc 95. Following Halloween Havoc. Only made 3 more appearances as the Yeti character as an entrant in the 60-man 3-ring battle royal.
There you go.
World War III 1995.
Okay.
And in a match against Barry Houston on WCW Prime.
The fuck was WCW Prime?
Let's find out. I didn't know anything
I
about it.
didn't.
Okay. WCW Prime is an American professional wrestling show produced by WCW, which aired on Prime Sports Network Monday nights from February 6, 1995 to October 14th, 1996, along with WCW Worldwide and WCW Pro.
I don't remember that show.
It was a part of the WCW Disney tapings.
Oh. Okay.
Very short-lived. Fuck, they're not even on the cock, or they were never on the network, so
Yeah,
they must not have been that important
I guess not.
at all.
I guess not. But yeah, that 60-man was what I was thinking. And he came in and went out real quick.
Mm-hmm. Hell, he's like John Gonzalez, same fucking caliber. I'm sure we're gonna see that on here at some point. At least his WCW debut.
Sure.
Holy shit!
All right, Eric Bischoff. I imagine this is his WWE debut.
Or
WCW is usually
be
overshadowed by
like
the
his
fact that
actual
he was
NWO.
actually running the company. It wasn't until after WCW went out of business that Bischoff's talents as a character and performer got to shine when he joined WWE. However, they did not set
Ooh.
up Eric for success. On July
She's got one
15th,
of the stiffest
2002,
fucking
Vince
hips.
McMahon announced he was shaking things up and that Raw would get a new general manager. He added that the new GM would be announced later in the show, and everyone began to wonder who it could be. About halfway through the broadcast, we finally got our answer, in the most anticlimactic way possible. Backstage, Booker T was giving an interview when this happened. Yep, that's how it was done.
Okay, to be
now,
fair,
I understand
pause.
why WWE did it.
To be fair, I thought that was done perfectly for that character.
Mm.
Why do the grand debut? Why not? Bischoff goes into business for himself. He ain't supposed to be fucking coming in through a damn promo. He just fucking walks in, does what he wants to do.
Mm.
Why not?
Yeah, I guess so.
He came in as a slimy little snake. He played that character fucking beautifully. Like, there's 2 or 3 years I legitimately hated that motherfucker every time he came on my TV.
Oh yeah.
And I'm talking about this era of wrestling.
Yes.
This one I gotta disagree with. I think this was done correctly.
I just think that the whole experiment was a failure with Bischoff. I mean,
Well, look at it this way. He was the man everyone loved to hate.
yeah.
He was the one that always sided with the heels. I mean, that carried over from fucking WCW when he was helping with NWO. He did the same thing with fucking Evolution, had them all in his fucking pocket. I think it worked well.
Mm.
Looking back, from the time I was fucking 12 till the time, he got off TV in 2005. Like, he started on top of the world. He overstepped his authority. They had to put Austin involved to be co-general managers. They did the Survivor Series gimmick in 2003 where he won complete control back for a few weeks until the board of directors said, oh, fuck, he's abusing his fucking power again. Brought Austin back in to keep him in check.
Right.
That fizzled out. By that time, they've already started doing the humiliation thing. They shaved his head. He came back with the gray hair. More of a bitter character. Overstepped his authority one more time to the point that head of the board had to fucking step in and basically fire his ass.
Mm.
I love the story.
That's cool.
I'm good with this.
I just don't like him.
Well, I get that, but unbiasedly, just from a character standpoint, are you still thinking this is supposed to be on the list? Not the person, just the character.
It depends on if this list also includes underwhelming debuts. Like if this is because I don't think that was like. I mean, it could be. I mean, I don't know. It's a toss up for me.
Okay. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, if you want some sweet tea, go to Grumpy's this morning. Holy shit, this shit's sweeter than McDonald's. I can make 2 gallons out of this cup. All right, let's go.
After this, WB went to a commercial break, so the sudden reveal of Eric Bischoff was a great way to keep viewers watching. Still, that does not excuse what a lame debut this was. Sure, Eric Bischoff wasn't a wrestler, but he was actually trying to put WWE out of business, and he came pretty close to doing it too. Even when Vince McMahon announced Bischoff as the new general manager, it did not have the hype that a moment like this should have had. Despite the awful debut, Eric Bischoff's run as Raw general manager ended up being pretty great, but think of how much more impactful it would have been had we not seen Bischoff before Vince McMahon introduced him. Number 6, Braden Walker. Now here's a wrestler who's
bonus points.
Okay.
The only time you could ever see this is live because this was such a sudden thing. They didn't even have music made for him yet. So he didn't have I'm Back. What song did he come out to on his actual debut? If I play the instrumental of I'm Back, you can hear it clearly in the drums. Back in Black.
Okay.
So before we get into this one, let's get a little backstory, which they're probably going to get into it. But as the encyclopedia of early TNA, I feel it is my duty to fucking kind of give a history lesson. So, Braden Walker.
Oh, we're on to this guy now.
Yeah. Braden Walker is the former Chris Harris of TNA, of America's Most Wanted. One of the most decorated tag team in TNA history. One of my favorite tag teams of all time. He has rocker syndrome. When Marty and Shawn broke up, you had James Storm, the Cowboy, which everybody knows that story at this point. That's a true wrestling fan. And then you have Chris Harris, who kind of just stumbled in the mid card and then just got released. And when he got released, he went to WWE, tried to find himself, and this happened.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was the Marty Jannetty, just less fucking creepy.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Vince McMahon introduced him. Number 6, Braden Walker. Now here's a wrestler whose WWE career was over before it had even begun. Chris Harris got his start
Also,
wrestling
solely
in
his fault I like wearing
WCW,
singlets.
but really made a name for himself in TNA. He was part of the company during its formative years and rose to fame when he and James Storm formed America's Most Wanted. However, in January 2008, Harris was released from his TNA contract. Just weeks later, though, WWE swooped in and signed Christopher Harris. Despite WWE's eagerness, the ex-TNA star wouldn't debut until July 2008.
He got a lot of weight in that
was
6
looking
weeks.
to secure a contract. He asked general manager Teddy Long for an opportunity, so Long put Estrada in a match against a debuting
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Braden Walker.
No offense to anyone named Braden and or Walker, but that's just an awful name for a wrestler. I know WWE doesn't like using wrestlers' real names, but Chris Harris was so much better. Who sat there and thought Braden Walker was seriously going to take off? Also, when your first spoken words in WWE are a knock-knock joke, it doesn't exactly scream superstar.
They should have at
Things didn't get
least
much better when
let
Walker
him
got
continue
into
the
the
outlaw
ring.
gimmick.
It wasn't an awful match, but nothing special either. It honestly feels like WWE wanted Braden Walker to become a walking meme because that's basically what happened. After his debut, Walker wrestled one more match before being released from his contract. Now, while the fans didn't cheer for Braden Walker, they at least didn't boo him. This next wrestler got such a bad reception that he left the company after one match. The man I'm talking about is, number 5, Jeff Hardy. Today, finding a wrestling crowd that wouldn't go nuts seeing Jeff Hardy would be impossible. The man is loved no matter where he goes, but in 2003, it was a different story. In April of that year, Hardy was fired from WWE due to drug use, no showing events, and overall lacking in-ring performance. The charismatic Enigma was not unemployed for too long though, as he joined the recently launched Ring of Honor. Jeff made his ROH
This is news to
debut
me.
at the Death Before
Oh, really?
Dishonor event, but
Yeah.
I knew he went from WWE to TNA because he showed up at a pay-per-view 100 when he worked AJ Styles for the X Division title. I didn't know nothing of this.
Really?
Yeah, this is news to me.
before he had even made his entrance, the fans were making their opinions loud and clear.
Damn.
Things only got worse when Jeff Hardy came out, although he wasn't the same Jeff fans had seen in WWE. Instead, Hardy was wearing his Will-O-the-Wisp attire, a character he had created prior to his WWE debut.
Very
the
underrated,
look
I
did
might
not
add.
matter though, as the crowd could
He does
not be
great
more
work on it.
irate seeing Jeff Hardy in Ring of Honor.
Damn.
Look, that crowd, in that era, they were fucking savages.
Oh, man.
You would think with that kind of reaction that Jeff Hardy had murdered a puppy the night before. Now, part of this was Jeff's fault. His firing from WWE over his drug use and declining performance was still fresh in fans' minds. However, the fans also saw Jeff Hardy as a WWE guy, and Ring of Honor's entire identity was not being WWE. On top of that, at the time, Ring of Honor focused on athletic and technical
Goat.
wrestling, and Jeff Hardy was seen more as a daredevil creating crazy spots. Perhaps because of the overwhelming negative reception, Jeff Hardy's debut match wasn't that good either, only making his Ring of Honor appearance even more infamous. Jeff did win, but he would later go on to call the company Ring of Horror due to his experience. After a debut like that, it's not surprising that Jeff Hardy left ROH and wouldn't return until 2017. That was pretty bad, but it didn't hurt Jeff's career. This next wrestler's career
How
was
was that
ruined because of one mistake,
Ooh.
and that's number 4, The Machine. This guy's proof
Who?
that it takes more than size.
Oh, you don't know
and
about this one
muscles
either?
to be a successful
No,
wrestler.
I don't know.
Oh, we're
He
learning
got
shit
into the wrestling
today.
business
We are.
in the mid-90s. Due to his impressive stature,
Do you know this
it
guy?
did take
No.
long for people to take notice. One such person was Jimmy Hart, who brought Hale into WCW with plans for him to be the next major opponent for Hulk Hogan.
Brother.
With goals like that, you would think WCW would present Hale as a powerful, unbeatable monster, but you would be wrong. Upon his arrival, Hale lost all of his matches, and usually in pretty quick fashion. That's because, despite having a great look, Hale was awful and boring in the ring. WCW wasn't ready to give up yet though. In 1999, Hale was taken off TV for a while, but in February 2000, he re-debuted
He can
as a
fucking
masked
bump, I'll give him
wrestler
that.
named The Machine. His debut opponent was Diamond Dallas Page, a solid and credible adversary.
Goat.
Despite months of training, The Machine was still just as sloppy as always. However, the point of no return came at the end of the match. The spot was supposed to involve DDP hitting the ropes and the Machine crotching himself. That did all happen, but in the worst way possible. First, Page hit the wrong side of the rope. Second, Machine still sold the move, but it looked like he just jumped and neutered himself. The only positive thing to say is that after this, the match quickly came to an end. All the DVDs we've seen so far have been bad, but this was on a different level. It was so awful that WCW immediately had Emery take off the mask and start wrestling as Hale. But it still wasn't enough to save his career. But it wasn't just newcomers that WCW ruined. It was legends
too. To be fair,
I'm talking about...
Just from what I just watched, he's just green. That's his problem.
Yeah, he's just green.
He probably just came straight from the power plant or some shit.
Probably.
So working in front of that crowd, that caliber of a crowd, let me correct myself. It makes you fucking nervous, man.
It does.
I mean, he was, say what you will, he was told, when DDP hits those ropes, fucking crotch yourself. He did what he was fucking told. It's not his fault. Fucking Diamond was on the other side of the fucking
yeah, that
ring.
was kind of Dallas's fuck up a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. And, common sense would tell you that that's not going to make you crotch yourself.
Yeah.
But, do that enough, lose your fucking footing to, buy some time or some shit. I might have to disagree with this one just a little bit. Because he looked like a solid worker. He bumped good. He worked within his means. Nothing too fucking crazy for his size. Less is more with his size.
Yeah.
Now, number 3, Bret Hart. In late 1997, Bret Hart was the hottest wrestler on the planet. And here's why. At Survivor Series that year, Bret Hart had his final WWE match before leaving to go to their rival, WCW. Bret walked into the match as WWE Champion to face the challenger, Shawn Michaels. Normally in this situation, Bret Hart would lose the title, but he refused to. This was due to Michaels being an unprofessional jerk backstage, and since Bret Hart had reasonable creative control, he decided to use his authority. However, Vince McMahon was worried that Bret would take the WWE title with him to WCW, similar to what the WWE Women's Champion Medusa.
That's an extra pause.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta ask you, that whole Bret Hart situation. We've always established you're either a Shawn guy or a Bret guy. But in that night, if the screw job didn't happen and Bret Hart did go over, do you think he'd been a man of his word, come out on Raw and just relinquish the title the next night? Not being under WWE contract anymore. Do you think he would have been a man of his word?
It's so tough to say. I mean, you would... I don't know. I mean, maybe not have relinquished it the next night, but just like left the belt behind. I don't know.
No, like it was his idea. He was going to go out there. He was going to give a goodbye speech, and he was going to hand the title over. He was going to relinquish it. Like that's, of course, this is his words. I did ask him about that one time. He was at River City Wrestling Con in 22 or 23.
Okay.
It was the weekend the Hardys were there. When it was 23 because Jeff got arrested the next night. Only reason I know that is because we went to the bar with all the boys and Jeff was fucked up. Anyway, so I spent $60 just to ask him that. And he looked me in the eye and he was like, yes, if everything would have went off like I said it was going to, I was going to come out the next night, hand the title over, shake Vincent's hand, and leave.
You blew it?
Kind of hard not to when you got looking another man in his eye.
Yeah.
Because Bret's a lot of things. He's not a good actor.
No, definitely not. Yeah, no, I tend to think he would, and even if he didn't, he wouldn't have. If I was Vince, I would say, that's fine. When you win the belt tonight, or you keep the belt tonight, you're not taking it with you. We will see you tomorrow night on Raw. We'll hand you the belt, you do your thing, and you do what you say. I wouldn't give him the opportunity to just break out with the belt.
So let's compromise it a little bit. Screw job doesn't happen. Hart goes over clean. What if Vince just got in the ring at that point, did like a post-match interview, and let him say his goodbye on pay-per-view?
Would have been fun.
Okay. I was thinking that as well. We got so much good shit from the fucking screw job. I can't just imagine wrestling without it.
No.
Okay.
earlier. This led to the infamous Montreal Screwjob. In the middle of Brett and Sean's match,
Worst
Vince McMahon told
fucking
the referee
sharpshooter
to ring the
until The
bell
Rock.
as soon as Michaels locked in the sharpshooter. Going off script and witnessing real backstage drama on TV is why this
Fun fact, he
moment
got
is still
knocked the
talked
whole
about to
fuck
this
out.
day. So imagine
Vince.
how
Yeah.
crazy
Yeah.
this was in '97. I say all
I
this to
implore
show
everybody, go
just
watch
how
the
much
Dark Side of the
attention
Ring
and
episode on
interest was on
Montreal
Bret
Screwjob.
Hart
So
ahead
good.
of his WCW debut. World Championship Wrestling had a golden opportunity, and it's not like they didn't know how to handle it. When Kevin Nash and Scott Hall left WWE, WCW used that to create the NWO, which single-handedly allowed WCW to beat WWE in the TV ratings for
Until it
83
got watered
weeks.
down.
So how would WCW debut Bret Hart? They made him the special guest referee for a match between a retired wrestler and someone who was never properly trained.
Oh, Jesus.
Genius.
You don't remember this?
Okay,
Yeah, I
to
remember
back it
it.
up a bit, Eric
I tried to
Bischoff and
forget
Larry
it.
Zbyszko
Zbyszko
had
were
so much
feuding
fun.
and set to have a match with the winner gaining control of WCW's flagship show, Nitro. In order to call it down the middle, Bret Hart was made the special guest referee. Now, in WCW's defense, Bret Hart had a 60-day no-compete clause, meaning he couldn't wrestle. Still, out of all the possibilities, having
Such
Bret
a
Hart
horrible
versus Larry
sell.
Zbyszko versus Eric Bischoff is what they went with. What was really disappointing, though, is WCW not capitalizing on the Montreal Screwjob. The only acknowledgement of it was this line.
Because nobody knows better than I do what it's like to get screwed over by a referee.
Bret Hart's entire WCW career is described as a train wreck, and it all started with this awful debut. Number 2, Tito Ortiz.
So,
Okay, this
real
might not
quick.
be a debut in
I'm gonna let you finish the book because you were the big WCW guy, especially then. How would you have brought Red in? With the no compete, because I got a question on the no compete when you answer this one.
I would have probably not brought him in yet.
Let him ride out the 60 days.
Yeah. I mean, why would you jump the gun and have him not wrestle?
Ratings. That's all Bischoff was about, was the ratings.
I know, but they were doing fine in the ratings at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I would have kept him off for the 60 days. I would have immediately thrown him into the world title picture when he came in.
Mm-hmm. Who was champion? Was it Hogan or was it Goldberg?
It's Hogan.
Okay.
Um.
After the 60 days, it had still been Hogan? Okay.
So yeah, I'm pretty sure that that's how I would have done it. I mean, they squandered so much with him, like that. Finally, the Bret Hart and Sting shit was
Garbage.
Yeah, it was. Just, I thought it was a shit run all the way around.
I agree with that. So they mentioned when he left WWE, he had a 60-day no compete.
Mhm.
When I think no compete, that means you don't show up on any show at all.
That's what it means now,
Yeah. Do you think this is why it changed to that?
probably.
That irks me. It fucking irks me.
Yeah, I mean, general language and contracts evolve over time, and they probably never had to delineate between showing up and wrestling for wrestlers before. So
So let me ask you this. When Lex left WWE and showed up on Nitro the next night, was his contract just like at the end, like he didn't just resign, it just lapsed over and he just showed up the next night?
yeah, but he didn't wrestle the next night.
No, but he showed up is why I'm
He
asking.
did.
Okay.
He showed up. I
But-
don't know.
Like I said, I was asking, was it one of those situations where his contract just
I don't-
wasn't renewed and he worked to the end of it and showed
I
up the
don't-
next night?
I don't think so, because I remember, and this is just my fuzzy memory of it,
Mhm.
I remember there being a lot of discussion about the legalities of him showing up on Raw that night or on
Nitro.
that night.
Mhm.
So I'd have to go back and kind of look at it again, but he was definitely crossing something.
Right.
Bischoff has mentioned he was definitely pushing the line doing that.
Kind of goes into the Rick Rude situation. Remember when he showed up on Raw and Nitro
Well-
the same night? Granted, it was pre-recorded.
Well, that's the reason why they went live. You can't be pre-recording shit while your competitor is live breaking your shit down.
Right.
So, I don't know. I think that era created a lot of changes in the industry.
Oh, that's an understatement.
I mean, live shows, stronger 90-day no competes.
Mm-hmm.
It just changed a lot.
Okay.
Traditional sense, but it's so bad that I have to talk about it. In 2013, TNA had faction warfare going on. The Aces and Eights had been running roughshod, so Sting and Kurt Angle reformed the Main Event Mafia to fight back. In the middle of all this, a video was sent to the TNA offices that spoke of an August 1st warning.
August Thursday. August Thursday.
Respond to the drowning. How could this possibly be true?
Matthew, looking wonderful this evening.
August on Spike TV.
Fans tuned into the August 1st, 2013 broadcast of TNA Impact with much curiosity. Could it be Batista, John Morrison, Chris Jericho, a TNA original returning? Well, it was none of those. The show ended with the Aces and Eights and the Main Event Mafia throwing fists. Then, it happened.
August 1 warning, identity revealed as the MMA legend Tito Ortiz.
That clip of Mr. Anderson sums it up best.
Pretty much.
It was absolute crickets in the arena. Tito Ortiz had done almost nothing in wrestling. What did TNA expect? You can put anyone else in Ortiz's place, and they would have gotten more of a reaction than he did.
I can answer
Now,
this.
here's the real kicker. The reason Tito Ortiz came to TNA was to generate hype for his fight against Rampage Jackson.
So the reason TNA picked up Tito for this is because he had a small little run in, I want to say 04, maybe 05 for a couple months. And he was red fucking hot because it was right off the season of him and Ken Shamrock on The Ultimate Fighter. So they got Tito to come on for a couple months and he was red hot. Everybody wanted to fucking see him. So they were hoping they can reignite that small flame from fucking, let's see, this like 8 years prior, 7 years prior. So this was just more of a fumble than anything. I don't really believe it was because of Rampage Jackson being there. I think with Rampage and Tito being there, that was more of a Spike TV situation, and they wanted them there to help promote the UFC at that point. So
yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. So, but yeah, this one fell fucking flat.
Who had already debuted in TNA. However, the fight never ended up happening, making Ortiz's debut an embarrassing, pointless moment. Now, before I reveal number one,
Tito
here are a
and
few
Loki
other
stand side by
debuts
side.
that didn't make the list.
I've
After
never
weeks
been in
of
the same
hype,
room
Sin
together.
Cara made his WWE
I wanna see
debut,
that.
rushing towards the
I
ring
wanna
and
see them
sending the
beat the
United
shit out
States
of each other.
champion Sheamus packing. That almost didn't happen though, as Sin Cara's first obstacle was just trying to get into the ring. When it happened, it seemed to be just a little one-time slip-up. Little did we know how much worse it was gonna be. In March 2010, Sting was sent out to the ring to face a surprise opponent.
Oh,
The
I remember
surprise
watching
ended
this
up
live.
being a debuting Rob Van Dam. RVD's TNA debut started out strong as he defeated the Icon in 10 seconds. However, that hype was quickly diminished when Sting spent the next several minutes beating the life out of Van Dam. Way to make RVD look strong during his first night.
To be fair,
In 1996,
to be
Razor
fair on that one, this was when Sting was like the very early stages of switching into main event mafia mode. So they were trying to turn him heel, but the crowd just wouldn't swerve that way.
Right.
And it was more of a dead run when RVD got the shit kicked out of him, because I was at that one live and it was just crickets. We're like, what the fuck is going on? Like, we're all like looking at each other while Sting's up there committing a fucking hate crime with his fucking baseball bat. We're like, what the fuck? Do we help or do I'm gonna go get a beer. I'm gonna get a beer. I'll be back.
Right.
aka Scott Hall, and Diesel, aka Kevin Nash, left WWE for WCW. A few months later, however, Jim Ross announced that he had brought Ramon and Diesel back to the WWE. This led to the infamous fake Razor and fake
Hey,
Diesel.
we talked about this
fucking
earlier.
Christ.
We talked about this
This could
earlier.
either be a return or a debut, but either way, it was trash.
Diesel
It was a
looks like my
cheap way for
dentist.
WWE to bait the audience and get
All
them to
right.
watch,
So looking
and
back on this, looking back on just this, do you really think Vince thought that they were going to buy in that these were Diesel and Razor? Or do you think that...
Yes, I think he really thought that because he owned the IPs of Diesel and Razor Ramon. So if he teased that Diesel and Razor Ramon were going to come on a live Monday Night Raw at the same time Nitro's fucking airing, At the same time, roughly, Nash and Hall's going to be on air. He did himself no favors. He did Nash and Hall great fucking favors.
He really did.
Dude, they locked in so much money. Look, Nash gets a lot of flack for his political shit backstage. But this is one thing I respect the shit out of him with. He didn't have to go, we're not going to go. He went, if you pay us, we're not going to go. And then it fucking happened. And all the WCW guys, the upper board people at fucking Turner were like, they fucking got us. What the fuck? Are you sure they're not here fucking working for Vince still? Like, they were fucking pissed. Like, the next day, they got Hall and Nash and WCW representatives on the phone like, no, we have to recant this contract. And Nash was like, if you do that, I'll fucking sue you.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was fucking, I love that story. Nash tells it fucking better on his podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I say better. A little less enthusiasm, a lot more detail.
All right.
There we go.
But he benefited from it. Except for the real Kevin Nash and Scott Hall, both of whom got
my
big
boy.
pay raises because WCW legitimately thought they were going back to WWE. One of the first major WCW stars to debut in WWE after the company shut down was Diamond Dallas Page, but his arrival in WWE was a mixed bag. In the spring of 2001,
he was treated so horribly.
After weeks of this going on,
him and
the
Taker
Stalker
actually
threw
went
on Raw
through
under a ski
this
mask, riding
on 6 Feet Under.
He then
When we
took
get to
off
the
the
end,
mask
I'll
to
tell you
reveal
about it.
his identity. Now, the entire DDP stalking The Undertaker's wife was a pretty bad storyline, but if we're just looking at Page's debut, which we are, it's not bad. The crowd's reaction when he took off the mask was great, and DDP's reason for stalking The Undertaker's wife made sense. He wanted to make a name for himself by going after a legend, and what better way to do that than to target the man's wife? Ultimately, the way the storyline went made DDP look like an idiot, but I can't say his debut was bad. The Big Show made his WWE debut in a big...
So... the whole DDP thing. This was day of debut. This was not the original plan at all. The stalker gimmick was supposed to be like Sean O'Hare or some shit. Okay. Which would have made a lot more sense considering the character that he become after his debut. DDP's idea and what they agreed upon when he signed is that his first feud was supposed to be against The Rock.
Okay.
People's champion of WCW, People's champion of the WWE. And this was supposed to happen right before he went off to do the Scorpion King. So the whole Brock Lesnar Rock thing at SummerSlam, that wasn't supposed to go down like that. The way it was supposed to go, Brock wins the title from, I think it was from Hunter. He won the title from Hunter at that time. And during his victory or whatever, it's just going to be on pay-per-view. Lights go out. Good 30, like to a point, it's almost awkward. And then you hear Diamond Dallas Page go, who's the real people's champion? Lights come up, he hits the diamond cutter on The Rock. That was supposed to be the original debut. When he signed and he went to his first TV, Sean O'Hare no-showed. And they hyped this shit up like tonight's the fucking night. So they cut all that shit to fucking have Dallas do this fucking stalker gimmick. And then it went to that public speaker fucking gimmick. Granted, we got DDPY out of that, so not entirely faulting that. But they dropped the fucking... TNA did a better job with DDP than fucking WWE did.
For sure.
And it fucking hurts my soul because DDP is my favorite WCW guy.
Yeah, no, it's ridiculous.
But it's not just because of Nirvana. Let's make that clear.
Way by interfering during a steel cage match between Stone Cold Steve Austin and Vince McMahon. The Giant manhandled Austin, but in doing so, he accidentally threw him out of the cage and allowed Stone Cold to win. You could argue this made Big Show look really strong, and sure, but to me, it just made him look kind of dumb and took away from what should have been a powerful debut. Alright,
that was the planned finish.
The number one worst wrestling debut of all time is The Shockmaster.
Not Uncle Fred!
This motherfucker.
Not Uncle Fred!
When that's how your debut goes, you gotta look at a different career path.
That was a fucking rip. I don't care what anybody fucking says.
What about a bad return? You see the worst WWE returns of all time?
Oh, no. We're going to talk about this, motherfucker. No, we can't just... Uncle Fred goes through a wall and that's it. No, this has to be talked about.
All right. Talk to me.
It's Dusty's fault. Dusty put the fucking 2x4 there.
He did?
He did.
What the fuck?
Well, you know Shockmaster's his brother-in-law, right?
Okay.
Dustin is in the studio with a young Cody, right? And they're watching this on a monitor in some other room or some shit. I don't know how they edited it out. I heard the raw, like uncut, like unfiltered original debut. Debut. When that happens, you can just hear Dusty just cackling like a fucking schoolgirl, right? And you hear a young Cody go, "Was that Uncle Fred?" That's why anytime that comes up, I'll say, "It's Uncle Fred." Because fucking Cody at a young age was like, "Is that Uncle Fred?"
That's so fucking funny.
That's fucked up, dude. What was your sister and Fred fucking having an argument the night before? To fucking screw him over? Also, whose idea was it to get a sparkly stormtrooper helmet and try to get that over? With blue jeans and what looked like a furry coat.
Right.
And then Dusty had to fucking grab the microphone, turn the fucking voice adjuster or whatever to make it sound like a fucking rip-off Darth Vader to cut a full fucking promo, all while still trying to not cackle like a schoolgirl. Please tell me your shit was on the whole fucking time.
No, it's good.
Okay. So yeah, Uncle Fred. I blame Dusty for that.
Yeah.
Just like I blame him for the biggest fucking fuck up in TNA history. A midget beaten off in a trash can.
Do what now?
I can't give you chapter and verse. I know it was a 2002 show where he produced a backstage segment. I believe it was with Abyss, and at the time his manager Goldilocks. The ultimate friend zone storyline, if you will. Like she you know what I mean? Like, you know, hot fucking 8 out of 10 blonde, because this is early TNA, they can't get 10 out of 10s. You know, just leading on this monster that'll do anything for because he's so in love, but she just won't let him out the fucking friend zone. And in the background, you hear like verbally, and they turn around and you hear a young JB go, "What the heck? There's a midget beating off in the trash can." Back to you, Mike.
Holy shit.
So Dusty comes out and does a fucking promo. I think it was for one of the Jeff Jarrett feuds or some shit. And he goes, "This is pro wrestling." Actually, I have the clip right here. If you will, give me 1 second because I got to remember who I sent it to. But I sent it to somebody. I sent it to the HSP. Here we go.
Not say a midget beaten off in the trash. Wrestling is real. It says pro wrestling on the marquee. It does not say a midget beaten off in the trash.
Jesus fucking Christ. A midget beaten off in the trash can.
So Conrad and Jeff Jarrett reviewed this episode a couple years back on the podcast, like one of their first ones. And for a 20-minute time span, you know how some people go, you know, Conrad's fucking tick. Every time he had nothing to fucking say, he said, "A midget, a beaten off in the trash can." And fucking Jarrett popped just like you popped with Ultimate Mago at the debut. Yeah. So from time to time, they'll bring it up on the podcast and you'll just hear Jeff go, "Son of a bitch." So yeah, it's yeah. So Uncle Fred's all Dusty's fault. He's admitted to before his untimely demise. He admitted to putting the 2x4 there.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Is that Uncle Fred?
Uncle Fred.
All right. Well, this was great. This was a little different than our normal reactions. I think we should do more of these.
I think so too.
Well, actually, you guys let us know. You people, let us know. Right. If you enjoy these, if you want us to do more of these, if you want us to go back to the old song and dance, let us know in the comments.
Yeah. So that was
top 10 worst wrestling debuts.
10 worst debuts ever. So if you enjoyed that, let us know. If you didn't, say so. We know you fuckers like to voice your opinion.
No shit.
And don't forget, buy our shit. See you next time.